Hi everyone, I'm Chelsea.
And I'm Bianca.
And welcome back to the Aspiring Ed PodSquad Podcast.
So today we're joined by Matt Yuro, who is currently serving as an NEA Board Director for the Aspiring Educators Program. And that's at the national level. When I say NEA, I mean at the national level. But Matt has also been involved with NJAEA in many different roles and committees, right? Serving as former state president, local president, vice president, secretary. You really have been around a lot. But beyond these roles, Chelsea, Matt, and I, we're all really good friends. We all go to the same school, and our friendship really started 3 to 4 years ago. Yeah, through NJEA. And, just being in this community. So, Matt, we're excited to have you today. Finally, I feel like we've been planning this episode since last semester, last year.
Matt's been asking for a year to come on.
I know. We made it happen. Yay. So, we wanted to start off today because, we know you well, but our listeners don't know you yet. So we need to first tell them a little bit about you. So could you tell us, you're an ed major, your history, your elementary ed, your special education. Can you tell us, what made you want to pursue a career in education? Why, these 3 specializations that you have? Where does this passion come from?
Yes. So I was the person that always wanted to be an educator. I wanted to be a teacher since 2nd grade. And when looking at different colleges, I always asked my teachers in high school, what school did you go to become a teacher? And they always said the College of New Jersey. And so when I was thinking about college, where to go, what program to pick, my dad also went to TCNJ, he's an alum, and so we kind of already had those family connections. My aunt also went to TCNJ for math, secondary ed, and so it kind of just kind of clicked, and being able to go to TCNJ, I did early decision, so actually when I applied to TCNJ, I only majored in elementary education and history. I actually didn't know that they had a 5-year special ed master's program until after the fact. My friend that was in my high school also went to TCNJ, and we were messaging each other, and she was like, oh yeah, I'm in the 5-year special ed program. I'm like, oh, that's a thing. So I went to the school, added it on, and it was the best decision ever. I feel like being able to walk out with a master's degree in special education will open so many doors and opportunities for me, and will also allow to have that mindset, because even if I'm a gen ed teacher, there's still going to be those special education pieces in students that you can kind of identify. So it's really good just to have that background information. I myself was in special education from 2nd grade to 7th grade. I was an in-class support and resource, so I kind of understand the special ed world, being in it myself as a student and what my teachers did. So being able to kind of carry that into my decision has been really great. And I was a little nervous of going the special ed route, but I'm currently in clinical 1 and I'm doing a special ed placement right now in 5th grade, and I absolutely love it. Yeah. I didn't think I would like the upper elementary school, but it's really good. So it's been good.
That's why I love shout out TCNJ. TCNJ is what, fosters this community and this sense of pride and love for the profession. And even if maybe, you didn't totally know that you wanted to go into special ed and do that master's when you were coming into TCNJ, it presented you the opportunity. And, something else I love about TCNJ, Matt and I are, you're the president, I'm the vice president of our local chapter of NJAEA at TCNJ. SNJA, we love acronyms.
Wait, say that 4
times. And we have a flourishing chapter, and we've done a great job over the past couple of years hosting a lot of events and really fostering a strong sense of community within that group. And so that's sort of how I got involved in NJAEA. So I guess we want to know a little bit about your background with the union. How did you get involved in NJAEA? Was it through TCNJ or any other avenues?
Yeah, so when I was an eager first-year student at the College of New Jersey, I went to the involvement fair in August, and it just happened that I was looking for different organizations to get involved with. I was heavily involved in high school. I did the teacher mentorship program to get with the accreditation with Kane University to get some college credit. I was in their preschool for working with children, so I did all those in high school. So I kind of knew. I tried actually in high school starting some type of ed club, but COVID happened, and so that didn't get formed. So I really wanted to join some type of like ed teachers club at TCNJ, and I stumbled upon NJEA at the Involvement Fair. Back then it was called NJEA Pre-Service, and basically I just added my name to the sign-up list, went to the first meeting, and kind of just embraced myself. And I remember going to the first NJAEA meeting, and the NJEA Pre-Service president from 2021 to 2022, Brian Riley, was on Zoom, and he spoke to us about what pre-service was and talking about kind of different leadership opportunities. And I was like, oh, I'll jump right in. So I applied to be a membership chair for NJEA Pre-Service. That was the name at the time. And I kind of jumped right in. So I was able to meet Marguerite Schroeder, who was the staff contact at the time. And that's where I met Sarah Adamo, who was an ambassador at the time. And so I kind of just was able to fully just jump in. And I didn't even know that NJEA and the state were kind of connected. So jumping into the state, I then learned about the national program, and then it clicked in my head, and I was like, okay, there's all these different layers, all these different branches, and let's see what other opportunities I can kind of embrace myself in through the union.
So much room to grow.
Yes.
And also, thinking back to freshman year, your eager freshman self,
Yes.
I know you're the one who pulled me into this too.
I drank Bianca.
I remember that we were having a conversation in our residence hall, and I was looking for opportunities. I remember you saying to me NJEA Pre-Service has chairs open, and I remember thinking what is that? I don't even know what this. And you told me about it, and I literally went that night and I wrote the application within a few days.
Wow.
And
Where'd you guys live?
We weren't we weren't living in the same residence hall, but Matt's friends lived in my residence hall, so we would see each other in the lounge all the time.
Okay.
So
we crossed paths.
Yes,
Okay.
yes. But also, back to you wanting to start an ed club in high school. COVID might have not been your chance, but I feel mission accomplished here.
Yes.
SNJEA really, every time I have been to those meetings this year and past years, I feel the energy in that room is always really positive, really great, and people actually want to be there and actually want to participate, and
Yes.
it's a very active club is what I'm trying to say. Yeah, so kudos to you, mission accomplished. Okay, you should feel proud of yourself. You have had so much experience in the union, though. I feel compared to an aspiring educator who is in SNJEA or just getting started on the leadership team, I feel you have had so much experience. Got at different conferences and different leadership roles, talking to so many people within the union, retired aspiring educators, early career, in service, across the board. Can you tell us about any experience that has been most meaningful to you, or something that truly impacted you, that even your time beyond college, it will still continue to resonate with you?
Yeah. So my sophomore year, I was asked to step up to be the NJEA Pre-Service Vice President for 2022-23 by Brian, and kind of being I think you'd be great at this, you should give it a shot, was really kind of fulfilling for me, and stepping up into state leadership. But I also know that I wanted to get more involved with the national program, and so I applied to be on the advisory committee with you. I think you actually might have told me about it, and then I was oh, I'm doing it too.
Yeah, from Chicago, it's Matt, there's 9 people, we got to.
We both did it. So I remember applying, and I did my interview with Sabrina, who was the previous Aspiring Ed chairperson for the NEA. And I remember just being able to share my ideas, share why I loved being in the union, and then getting to meet her from our in-person Aspiring Ed meeting in October. I really was then able to open my doors to be oh, this is a national thing. There's national aspiring educators across the state who are all kind of advocating on their college campuses and in their states, and wanting to do professional development, racial and social justice work. And so being able to kind of be in that environment with aspiring educators, and being able to kind of hear different things that they've been doing, building those connections, I would say has been one of the greatest gifts of NEA. I still talk to Sabrina. I talk to the board of directors that were on the advisory committee our year. And so I just feel like they've been great mentors for me as I step up into, being state president for NJEA pre-service last year before we changed our name, and for stepping up into being a board of director. So really having that experience and kind of learning all about NEA, how I can transfer that to the state, how I can transfer the state and what national does to the chapter have all been really beneficial in kind of our sustainable growth. So it's been good.
And I think when you get to that national level space, it kind of seems something you would never, I would never think before being in being at those conferences or being on those Zoom calls that all of those things were possible, or all the opportunities I laid out were even something within, my life path. And I think the crazy thing is just everyone's perspectives and how people can come together and create something really, really cool. So I definitely agree with you. NEA is such a cool way for aspiring educators to get involved.
And I think it's really important also for anyone who might be more unfamiliar with the union to put some faces and names to the organization, because it can sound very daunting being the national level and overwhelming. And we did have an episode where we kind of broke down the layers to it and talked about the committees. But it's great to see the people and hear from the people that's actually behind it, because that's where people can make an actual connection. And I think, Matt, the biggest thing for you in these past couple of years has been your growth and progression and sort of building up to start becoming more involved at the national level. And I know that this year you have the position of being an NEA Board of Director. So we definitely want to talk about that too. So could you just sort of tell us what exactly is that position? What are your roles? What are you doing at the national level? And then I guess if after that you could also tell us, was there any type of experience that really inspired you to go out for that position?
Okay. Yeah, so serving on the NEA Board of Directors, I represent over 40,000 aspiring educators nationally. And so there's two 1-year term seats open and 1 2-year seat, so there's a total of 3 people. And I serve on NEA's highest governing body, the Board of Directors, and that's where NEA makes a lot of their decisions around policy, around the budget, around different voting on different conferences and such. So being able to kind of be the aspiring educator's voice in the room has been really impactful in learning about the Board of Directors. Something that's really cool is we have these things called Super Weeks. So we go down to Washington, D.C. 3 times a year and we lobby to our legislators from our states. So I lobby with the different New Jersey senators and House of Representatives on different educational issues that are currently facing the political climate of our country, as well as things that are facing New Jersey specifically in education. And so being able to have that lobbying experience, meeting politicians, and working with the other New Jersey Board of Directors has been super eye-opening and as an active member, I can continue to do this if I love it so much. So being able to kind of see how the NEA board works has been really cool. And I think another thing too is on the Board of Directors, I sit on the Aspiring Ed Conference planning team. I oversee the advisory committee and their different charges. So I'm helping to plan the advocacy effort this year, and working on how state and local affiliates can better support the Aspiring Educator program. So being able to it's a lot of meetings, but being able to be in all these spaces, really not only myself being from New Jersey as a state president, local president, being able to contribute to the conversations, but also hearing what other chapters are doing and being hey, I think this can be implemented in New Jersey. Oh, why are we not doing this? Can we make this a possibility? So kind of being able to kind of understand its operations and how it works, but also being able to take back what I can bring to the table in New Jersey has been really beneficial.
And can you also just tell us, maybe 1 or 2 things that you have lobbied on when you went to Washington, D.C. with with the senators and legislators? Just to give an example of what you have spoken to people about.
Yeah, so in February Super Week, we spoke a lot about the Linda McMahon and her appointment to the Department of Education and talking about why she was not a great choice for the Department of Education. And we talked to our legislators about that process. I think when we were in there in February, her hearings were happening. So that was really a big push. And we also had conversations about, like, if the Department of Education is dismantled, what does that look like? What funding is being cut in New Jersey that affects everybody, from federal funding for our schools, for our special ed programs, for IDEA. And so being able to kind of have those real conversations. You know, the politicians in Washington, D.C., they want to hear testimonials, they want to hear your story. And so I feel like you shouldn't be afraid to reach out to your legislators and be like, this is what I'm experiencing, you know, in my practicum experience in my town. I could really use some resources on that. They're willing to help you create a bill, to create change in legislation, or work with you on those different topics of need. So I feel like politicians are more open than I thought they were. We kind of put them on a pedestal, but they're everyday people that just want to make an impact and a change. And so just having that conversation, being able to talk to them about these different issues has been really like a wow moment.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
I think it's like, you know, it's interesting because sometimes that can sound like a really big task. Like we go and lobby and it's like, you know, what do we lobby about? What do we talk about? Okay, now we want to switch gears a little bit, and we just wanted to ask you, you know, you've been so involved. What would you advise to someone who's maybe hasn't had so much involvement with the union? Where would be a good starting point, and what kind of advice would you have for them, for someone who is interested in the union but maybe is like not sure, you know, where to begin?
Yeah, I think a great, to really understand like NJAEA, I would say a great like thing to attend would be the NJEA convention. I feel like that, like attending that as a freshman, I helped to work like the booth for pre-service, and being able just to, you know, meet other aspiring educators from different campuses there, attend professional developments. You kind of, I feel like the visual of like being in that gigantic space with all the educators is like a OMG, this is a real moment. And so I feel like that is a great first event if you're looking to get more involved in the union or just want to go to a convention, just to get more information about the union or ways to get involved. I would say like going to NJEA convention is definitely a great one. I would say in terms of like wanting to get more involved in the national level, attend the Aspiring Educators Conference. It follows the RA, the Representative Assembly, so we go to a different place every year. I attended my first one in Orlando, Florida, when Bianca was there. And we were able to go to Disney for a few days, and then we went to the Aspiring Educators Conference, and I ran for like the Resolutions Committee and was able to attend different PDs and such. So I feel like there's like conferences, events, I feel like are great starting points to really getting that, like that picture in your mind of like, oh, what can the union do for me and how can I get more involved? I think those, being able to meet people, getting those connections and like visually seeing it is a great starting point. And I would say for anyone that is interested in getting involved, you can be like me and jump into it, but definitely reach out. See if your college or university has an NJAEA chapter. If they don't, you can start one. And NJEA is here to support the Aspiring Educators program and be a resource for whoever you need. So definitely take advantage of the different leadership opportunities within the Aspiring Ed program, getting involved in your local chapter, and kind of just taking those next steps.
Yeah, and I think kind of the theme here is like putting yourself out there and taking that risk and jumping in can be difficult and overwhelming because these organizations are large and there's a lot of layers to it. But what we keep coming back to is meeting people in person, talking to people face to face, and really making a connection and building a relationship is what can kind of ground you and help you build up your experience to eventually, serve in a leadership position and go to these different conferences and events that we're talking about. So I think that's really special and important. And I mean, that's been a theme that we've been talking about for a lot of our episodes. I guess sort of one thing that we wanted to ask you, Matt, to sort of tie everything together and wrap up the episode is, we talked about a lot of the things you've accomplished so far, and we're super proud of everything you've done. And you talked about a goal in high school was to start like your own education club, and we can check that off. So what is up next on the list? Like for when you graduate college, when you leave TCNJ, I know you're a senior now, but you'll sort of still be here next year with the 5-year program. So when you're gone from TCNJ, what's up next on the list? What is your, biggest aspiration or goal that you have for after graduation?
United States President. No, just kidding.
So I would like to continue and further my education and get a doctorate degree in educational administration and educational policy. I feel like the dream, so I've been thinking, because I've always was like, oh, administrator, like elementary school principal, superintendent, supervisor. But I've kind of been thinking a little bit, and like I feel like it'd be really cool to work for the NEA, or perhaps, you know, work for NJEA, like work for the union, or be a teacher and work for the union. You know, there's so many possibilities. But I definitely would like to look into the possibilities of pursuing a doctorate degree, and then, you know, maybe, you know, get into educational policy, go into the politics route, and help to make change on that side, work with the union to make change on that side. I feel like there's so many possibilities. So I guess the first step is to graduate with my master's, and then we'll keep going. But I definitely can. There's a lot to think about when it comes to my future, but I'm super excited to kind of see what more I can do in the union and kind of see where the journey will take me.
Well, let me tell you something.
Oh gosh.
Dr. Yuro has a great ring to it. Dr. Matt Yuro. That's your PhD right there. No, but we're so grateful for the advice you've given us, especially since you are an aspiring educator, you know, like who could talk about the experience better than one of us. But thank you so much for joining us today.
Thank you for having me.
Anytime. As long as our schedules, our crazy Google Calendar schedules can match up. No, but we're very thankful. And we hope to see you on campus soon.
Yeah, sounds good.
This is not over, right? Yeah, but thank you, Matt.
Of course.
All right. Thanks for listening, everybody. Have a happy Thursday, and we'll catch you at the next episode.